Good evening and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It's the Leeds United 4, Middlesbrough 3 instant match reaction. I think myself and Jason were still processing what the hell we've just watched there for 90 minutes of just pure Leeds United torture. Incredible stuff. We've been quite busy on the channel today. I know we've had a couple of shows on already. So thank you for the guys earlier who did the West Yorkshire Roundup show. I can't wait to catch up with that tomorrow. So check that out after you've watched the review here. Get your comments in. Like and subscribe as well. I'm Stephen Brown, with me as ever, Jason Booker.
I was laughing because you didn't play the long intro.
No.
I just want to get into it.
I just couldn't wait any longer. I was like, no, I can't do it. We'll just get to it tonight. Jason, I mean, let's just, God, I can't even get my head straight as to what I've witnessed there, because to be honest, I mean, the second half was pretty smooth for us. We were kind of, on the back foot for kind of 10, 15 minutes or so, just soaking up pressure, and then we hit on the counter, which seemed to be the plan, and it worked to perfection. And then all of a sudden that bizarre goal, and it's flipped on its head, and it's just, that was stressful at the end. I was really heart in mouth moment several times. But we got the 3 points. I think, you and I both said it felt like it had to be a win tonight, which is a lot of pressure to put on a team, especially when we're not been in the best run of form. But we got over the line. This review, apologies in advance, it might be all over the place, might flop back and forth throughout the game, but we'll try his best to get everything covered. But yeah, Jason, first of all, your reaction, mate.
Well, as I said to you just before we came on, like this season, I've pretty much always looked forward to the game. In the run-up on the day, I'm looking forward to, watch Leeds play. Most of the time, we're going to win games. Today was the first day of the season where it's taken to the 3 games before the end of the season for me to actually be like, oh, God, we're playing tonight. And I'm dreading it a little bit and, worried and nervous about the result and the performance and, and whatnot. I was aware of how good Middlesbrough were, analysing them. They did have a lot of injuries, but they still got some real... especially going forward, they've got some talent, and Lewis O'Brien, Johnny Howson in the midfield, real experience in the division, top players, top pros. So you knew it weren't going to be easy. And we were fighting a few of our own demons, I think, as well. With the way that things have been going into the run up into the game. And yeah, my immediate reaction is just thank God that's over. Thank God we've got that one out of the way, and we managed to come out of it with 3 points. I did think overall, I thought we were pretty good. I thought we were actually really good. Defensively, I thought there's obviously moments where we were poor tonight. We've not seen a defensive performance over 90 minutes like that all year. We've seen pockets, but not over 90 minutes like that. We were getting pulled around and caught out. The third goal was very reminiscent of the Blackburn goal the other day, one long ball, and then I don't know what Rodon and Ampadu were doing. They're caught sleeping, and then Mellier's miles out of position. Yeah, no goal should ever look like that, in my opinion. Not at that level of football, really. But look, at the end of the day, that's the way that football's played. Sometimes it's not, it's not played the way that it should be. Things happen, game states, and all the rest of it. My overall kind of feeling today is fair play to them boys. Because I thought they showed a level of maturity and steely grit. I've mentioned it a couple of times this season. People saying, "Oh, Leeds always bottle it," and phrases like that come out. This team are not that. They're really not. They were. They knew they needed to win tonight. They knew the severity of that game tonight. We go 1-0 down early to a bit of a lucky goal, really. The rebound off of Gruev and the way that it carries it through and all the rest of it, another day Mellier goes on top of that and it doesn't squirm out to Jones. Rodon gets more of a tackle and it goes out of play. It don't bounce back off of Gruev. All these things that kind of have gone against us. And, within 15 minutes, the boys were 2-1 up. That shows you a lot about this team, a lot about the character and determination that they've got. When they did go, the game did go to 4-3, they didn't fold. They really put the bodies on the line. Junior Firpo a couple of times with last gasp headers at the back post.
Oh, fantastic!
I was super impressed, super impressed with the performance and the character. Moreover, I think it shows. We've got enough to get it over the line, mate. I really believe it.
Indeed. Deck here, they'll be the death of me, that football team. Yeah, it feels that way, doesn't it? Jason, you text me saying you'd aged about 10 years watching that. And yeah, I'm going to share that sentiment. I mean, just going back to that first Boro goal, I mean, I was just ready to call it quits right then. I was like, it's over. But I just thought, like, of all the things to happen, I mean, the ball kind of knocks off Gruev and it lands perfectly in the path. And I'm just like, I can't believe how this. I was just thinking, oh my God, it's one of them games where literally everything goes against you.
Yeah.
And it's just not our time. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's a credit to them for seeing that one through tonight and getting the win. And we've not been in good form. You know, we whatever's happened, you know, we've dropped a few percentages. You know, we said the previous game we didn't think it was an awful performance or anything, but it's just them little percentages that have just dropped off a little bit. And it's hard to get back on that bandwagon, isn't it? It's hard, you know, when you've not conceded goals, you've not lost games, and then all of a sudden you're conceding, all of a sudden you're dropping points. To kind of put that aside, I think a little bit of a break, actually. We didn't want to break, did we, after the last Blackburn game? We wanted to get back on it, but actually it might have just acted like a little bit of a reset for us.
Momentum's a very real thing in football. Yeah. You know, when things are going for you, sometimes they're just going for you. You know, there's the old saying about when you're at the bottom, you don't get any luck and all that kind of thing. And like, it's not that. It's just that momentum's kind of going against you, and you're kind of having a bit of self-doubt and all these kind of things. And but the games are very different, mate. I mean, I said to you last week when we reviewed Blackburn that I thought that this game would suit us. And I think that proved the case today. It was very similar to the game against Middlesbrough at Ellen Road, back and forward. They give you openings because of the way that they play, but they're going to create opportunities themselves because of the attacking. I mean, they were 4-3-3, but when they were in possession, they were literally 5 or 6 players swamping into the box. They go for goals. But it did give us opportunities, and that was the kind of game that ended up being created. So I did think it suited us, and we saw that. Like, the amount, every time we went forward, I thought we were going to score. And we were very purposeful when we went forward, is the way that I would kind of put it. We didn't go forward for the sake of going forward. We tried to hit into spaces on the counter quite often. If they didn't come off, we gave the ball back, and then we would rebuild again. That tended to be how it was. If you look at all the goals, and even the penalty, the transition from us winning the ball to being in a dangerous position to score were about 5 to 10 seconds. It's real quick turnover of play. And it worked. I mean, we didn't need to defend so badly and make it so difficult for ourselves. Ampadu in the post-match presentation to give Somerville man of the match said exactly the same thing. You know, we could have made it a lot easier for ourselves today because the goals were pretty much poor defending. And I think, I know you were a bit more sympathetic, Amelia, for the second, but I think he should say that. I know it's hit well, but it's really central. If you go back and watch it, it's central. It gets a solid hand to it and it just goes through him. But you know what? Yeah. So,
Yeah, we won. We got there. Let's kind of go back then pre-match because, you know, I've had a busy day today, thankfully. So I was trying to kind of not let the tension get to me. But when you text over the team sheet, I was like, oh, I could feel it all happen. Then I thought, hey, here we go. I mean, kind of a little bit surprising that, you know, Byram coming in, Gray keeping his place in midfield. Did you expect Kamara to come back in and Gray dropped to right back? What do you think the thinking was there?
100%. That's what I expected. I think Danny Farker's thinking in it is that Gray's better at progressing the ball, quicker, a bit more direct. And we did see that in moments. The build up to the second goal or third goal? Third goal. Third goal. Third goal. The non-toe goal. Yeah. We saw what Gray's really good at in comparison to Kamara. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't think Gray had a good first half. That moment, I didn't think he had a good first half. I don't think he gets on the ball in the way that Kamara does. I think when he does get on the ball, everything that he does is quicker than Kamara, which in moments is good. But Kamara dictates the play of the game really well. But he hasn't been playing particularly well recently either. So if he's out of form and Danny Farker's made that decision, then fair play. But what I will say about what Gray did was, as the game progressed, he progressed with it. And second half, I think he was sent out to do a job on Finn Azaz, and he stuck to it almost perfectly. There was one moment where Azaz got free when it was still 4-2.
Yeah.
4-2 it was at the time. But apart from that, if Azad's got on the ball, Gray was on him. It was literally on him. And he did much better at keeping possession of the ball when we really needed to, running it into good areas to kind of get us back up the pitch. I thought it was much better second half. And the reason that I, again, wouldn't have made the change that Farker made was that I think Byram is good defensively, but going forward, I think Gray progresses the ball better than Byram does. Byram was constantly looking for that ball down the line to Nonto and so often kicked it straight out of play. So I would have preferred to see Gray at right back and Kamara in the centre. But again, you know, we've had this kind of conversation with regards to questioning Farker this season. And when it comes off, you just have to say you got it right. So,
yeah. Absolutely. I know we're skipping around here, but can I just say how frustrated I was watching Jadon Anthony defend when he came on, by the way, and also Kamara with the sloppy touches sometimes. I just, honestly, I couldn't believe it. I mean, there's a bit where Jadon Anthony's just like a statue watching the player. And then when he gave that free kick away at the end and Middlesbrough took it quickly, I was like, oh,
there were a moment on the left hand side where the keeper was up for the corner or set piece or whatever it was. And they gave the possession away in like left back position. I'm like, you have to be clinical there. We could just go on and kill this game. But I mean, you said it in the text message that you sent me. That's why they're on the bench. You know, the decision making in them key times, key moments is just so often. You know, we'll get to the other change now because I'm gonna say I told you so. Pat was excellent tonight, mate. He was excellent for a championship level striker that we need to play a certain role in our system and tactic and formation. He was superb tonight. And I don't want to wear no slander because don't get me wrong, he's not, you know, he's not had them kind of performances for a few weeks. I'll say that. I thought against Sunderland, I thought it was okay. And he should have got their Ballard sent off after 20, 30 minutes in that game. We didn't play well around him that day, but the more Rutter clicked today, the better you saw of Bamford. Yeah. He was stretching him, he was running off the defenders. I thought his goal was excellently taken. You know, so often you try and go with your head or go with your foot, and neither was right there. Let the ball bounce into him, and you know he kind of took it off of his thigh. I thought it was a very smart finish. The chance that he had that the keeper saved. He set it so often. What Bamford does do when he strikes the ball, he strikes it straight at the keeper. He struck it outside the keeper. The keeper had to make a really good save. It was a good height, but it was a good strike nonetheless. The one where he was offside, we've not been able to see it back. I don't know if he was offside, but he finished that well. So and that side, like his connection in between midfield and attack, he was dropping the ball off nicely. He was bullying defenders. I don't think he put a foot wrong tonight. I really don't. I thought it was excellent. So
no, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And I thought you perfectly saw the difference between him and Perot when Perot came in. I mean, Perot couldn't hold that ball for 2 seconds when we needed it. When it was 4-3, and Perot just honestly, there were a point where simple ball to control, and he just can't get it under his control.
Slow. He's so slow. Like when he's ambling around trying to press, and you know when he first started, when he first made appearances for Leeds, you could see that he wasn't used to pressing at all, and he wouldn't get about the defenders. Now you can see that he's trying to do it because he's instructed to do it, but he just ain't got the pace to do it. Yeah. He cannot carry himself from A to B quickly enough to make it effective, whereas Pat is always there. You watch that, I mean, even in the second half until he got taken off, he was constantly harrying the defenders out of possession, just making sure that when they struck the ball, they were doing it under a press rather than just being able to pick the pass that they want to pick. He's so understated, and I know I've banged on, and I'm not saying I want him to be the Premier League striker. I wish we had a better striker, you know. But even watching Latte tonight, right, you saw the difference there. I mean, he's a predatory number 9 goal scorer, right? Yeah. But the rest of the work that he does is non-existent. He's not involved in the play, but that's not what he's there to do. That's not the way that Carrick plays football. They let Azaz do it and Howson from deep or whoever, you know, the wingers get involved and whatnot. So
yeah, no, I think it's a great point. I think that, you know, the whole Bamford thing, because obviously, like I've said many times, the way he's come back into the team has been one of the highlights of the season for me. The way he's turned it around, what looked like a sinking ship, And he was absolutely vital. Him and Gruev coming into the team when they did kick-started that massive unbeaten run that we went on, the winning streak, and closed the gap. I think for me, I think it was maybe, the last couple of games since the international break, maybe he could have been rested. Or maybe, Bamford, though, as soon as he gets dropped, when he comes back, it's always... You get a little bit more from him every time. Whenever he's doubted, he comes back, doesn't he? And he certainly proves, especially at championship level. Sorry, you go, mate.
Sorry, I was just going to say, truthfully, Browney, we needed a more direct replacement for him. When we signed Boro, as a Leeds fan that's not going to have watched him week in, week out, you see us sign a goal scorer and you think he's signing a replacement for Bamford. We very quickly realised that we didn't. Gio was playing at 9 and Boro was playing in the 10, and you very quickly then started to understand why. Because he can't do the same role. He just can't do it. And then when Bamford come back in, you saw it even more. It exasperated the issue. So the problem is that we never signed somebody to really challenge him. Joseph is the closest direct replacement. But again, I'm just going to say it. We don't know that Joseph can pull out that kind of performance over 90 minutes, over the first 75 minutes. That was a proper seasoned, top quality tonight, not always, but tonight, top quality championship striking performance.
Yeah.
Mateo Joseph, for all we know, I saw somebody arguing about Max Dean the other day, and I had to just be like, hold on a minute, he's top scorer in League Two. He's had to drop to the bottom level of professional football in this country to start week in, week out. Like, for all we know, and I'm sure this won't be the case, but Mateo Joseph might be a League One striker next season, not season after. We've been here before. Joe Gellert was scoring goals off the bench 2 years ago in the Premier League. He can't get a kick in the Championship. So we just need to have some perspective on it again. And for me now, it's put it to bed. The last 2 games of the season, we get right behind Pat. Yeah. We get right behind Pat. There's no other question to it.
Absolutely, yeah, no, I agree 100%. I would like to have seen Joseph come on like for like actually with Bamford. I think he'd have much more of an impact than Pirro. Yeah, that's the one thing with like I just don't get. But anyways, we've heard enough of that debate. Yeah, not playing at home, we mentioned before, would hopefully benefit us. I think you saw that. I can only imagine what Ellen Road would have been like if we'd have conceded against Middlesbrough after 6 minutes. I can only imagine what that would have done. And you think Middlesbrough away on paper very tough, but I just felt that the way the game unfolded, it just worked in our favour completely.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I don't think it's that this team are bottlers or anything like that. I think it's simply them being human beings and quite young, naive, inexperienced team that are dealing with the pressure in a certain way, and sometimes it's holding the ball too long, sometimes it's overhitting a pass or whatever it might be. And I think taking that away from Ellen Road, I think you're probably right, it was beneficial for us tonight, especially when the game went the way that it did, with the early goal. The amount of time that we're out of possession tonight, I think suited us, with the way that things have been going and allowing us to hit them on the counter. We're going to have a different prospect in place on Friday, because I don't think that'll be that kind of game, and we'll come to that, I'm sure. But I think you're spot on, mate. I think you're absolutely spot on. I think the Southampton game will be a one-off. I think that'll be an absolute freak when you're talking in front of the crowd. I think, that'll be Sunday. But again, getting ahead of ourselves.
But I think that'll be Bristol atmosphere, won't it? That'll be, getting promoted from League One type atmosphere, I think, won't it? If there's something right, I think that really will be like the fans will just know they've got to be
I think
right behind them.
I think it'll all depend on what Southampton have got to play for. I think that'll very much change the game up. But we'll get way ahead of ourselves that way.
I'm just wondering, like, what side of the fence you like? Because some people say when there's no pressure, suddenly, players are relaxed and they can play some good stuff. We've seen examples of that. Or is it better to play a team where they've still got something to play for? I mean, it's an interesting dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's certain. I think there's a certain kind of. There's a weird balance to it, right? So, like QPR on Friday, if they win, I think have they got a game before Friday? I don't think they do, do they? No. So QPR could still be in the relegation picture, so they've got something to play for. But I think a point for them would be enough. So I think they'll sit back. if they were safe, I think they'd be more likely to come out and try and express themselves at home for the last home game of the season, or one of the last home games of the season, and we would then be more capable of being able to pick that off. So I think it's really, really tricky to get that right. We've seen it from some of the teams. Look at Swansea as an example. A few weeks ago, they looked terrible. When they secured themselves as being safe in the division, they've got some players that can then express themselves, and they started tonking teams. Bristol City, I think, is a very, very similar kind of situation. Southampton, they had nothing to play for as such up until clawing themselves back into it because we were all tripping over ourselves. They get within touching distance of being level on points with us, and they go and lose 2-1 against Cardiff, who were playing 8 youth team players. They had 11 first-team injuries, did Cardiff, at the weekend. And I mean, Southampton missed a bunch of chances, but they lost the game. It don't matter whether they missed chances or not. So I think it's a real funny one. I think for us and the way that we play, I think it suits us to play somebody that's got nothing to play for, because I think they're less rigid defensively, and I think that suits the way that we play. But I think that Southampton game, regardless, will be tough because Russell Martin's not going to want to just turn up and let Leeds win. He hates Daniel Farke, so I think it'll be an interesting one for sure, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting back to tonight's game, then, some performances to talk about. Jorginho Rutter, back to his best, would you say, Jason? I mean, some incredible creative play, setting up goals. A couple of times, obviously, lost the ball in key areas that led to Middlesbrough goals. But I mean, with Georgie, it's that kind of player, isn't it? And sometimes he gets the ball and he's in a tight spot. He'll have 3 opposition players around him, and if it isn't perfect control, the chance that he's going to lose it. It's a tough ask to constantly put him in that position. So I do have sympathy with him there. But I mean, the second half, when we were a couple goals up, I mean, he really came to the fore then, didn't he? It was like Zidane and Henry mixed into one at one point. It was ridiculous.
You have to accept some frustrations with a player like Gio Rutter. To get the great sublime moments that we have, there's going to be moments where he gives the ball away. You just have to accept that. I thought we saw a real Jekyll and Hyde. The moment when he won the penalty, I mean, sensational. The way that he glides away, the way that he's able to carry the ball faster than he runs without the ball. I don't know how he does it, but he's just so good at running away from players when he's got the ball at his feet. So strong, and his ability to kind of twist and turn players inside out. I mean, the foul that he drew off of Jones in the second half, I mean, he absolutely wipes him out. But then the loss of the ball for the Middlesbrough second goal, if you lose it in certain positions, and this is what he'll gain as he gets more experience and know how he'll learn when to do it and when not to do it. I thought he was still better at releasing the ball tonight than he was over the last 2 or 3 games. The build up to the Nonto goal, Rutter releases it to Archie when he really should do, whereas previously he'd been carrying it another 2 or 3 yards and then the pass has gone. So there's little moments in between which, just make all that difference. It just makes us tick so much. I thought second half it was unplayable. It was literally unplayable. It was causing them absolute nightmares. I mean, these twists and turns, a little Cruyff turn that he did over on the right hand side. I think it were in the pass to Bamford. He opens up the game in a way that no other player can really. Certainly in our team, I'd love to see him next season, regardless what division we're in, play out on the right. I would love to see him come out from the right onto his left foot. I think he'll score more goals. I think he'll have more space because in the centre of the pitch, it's the most compact area of the game. Get a proper 10 in there that can pick all the movements and let Gio just cook with that space out on the right. That's how I see him long term. Anyway, I don't see him as a 10 long term. But yeah, I thought second half was excellent, mate.
Yeah, incredible. Nonto on the other side, someone who, I mean, I do actually think if he'd have been available straight after the international break, we may have had a couple more points actually, because that man was on a hot streak before he got injured before that international break. So real shame that he got out of the team, but he seems to have come back pretty much back to where he was before. He's just a good footballer, isn't he? He's just a smart footballer. He makes good choices most of the time. A couple of times, maybe not, but generally speaking, he makes good choices. And again, just the way he operates is just he's a vital cog now, isn't he? It's crazy when you think how impactful James has been this season, as we've mentioned countless times. But for me, it's definitely Gnonto who starts for me.
Yeah, he's grown into this season so much, and I mean, he had a lot to overcome earlier on in the season, didn't he? And I think he's come back from all of that really, really well. And he's just got that little bit of something extra that James doesn't have technically. He's not as quick as James, he's not as direct, and I do think James scares defenders to death. I've said that several times this season, but Gnonto's really grown into this season. He's surpassed what I thought he would probably do this season, because I didn't think he suited Championship football. I thought he'd always be a little bit more handicapped by the fact that defenders just defend. They don't try and do too much. They don't try and overthink it. I still think Gnonto suits the Premier League more than the Championship, and I think he suits the left more than the right, but he can't play on the left because Somerville's better than him. So it's a real tricky one for Gnonto. He's had to kind of adapt his game and make that position work for him, and he's become better at cutting on his left foot. He's scored some important goals, cutting in on his left foot. Found himself over on the left-hand side with Somerville for a bit of the first half, and that's where the goal came from. They started doubling up on that side. It was a bit unusual what they did, and they actually swapped completely, didn't they? At one point, Somerville went to the right and Gnonto went to the left. So maybe that's something they've been working at to change it up a little bit during the week. We've not seen much of that this season. Considering the fact that they're both comfortable on either side, it's surprising that they've not done a bit more of that. But yeah, mate, I thought it was excellent, and it's fantastic that he's starting to come back into full fitness and form right at the right time for us. I thought defensively he worked his absolute nuts off down that side today as well. You certainly couldn't have questioned his his desire and his passion to help defensively. So yeah, delighted for him, mate. Absolutely delighted for him. I thought it was a top performance.
Yeah, as Arthur says here, Gnonto, my favourite player, missed him against Sunderland and Coventry. Please pop a like on the video if you're watching along. Get your comments in what you thought of tonight's match. Have you recovered yet after that one? Creed Somerville, we've got to talk about Somerville. I mean, player of the season for the Championship, an incredible output that he's had this year. We know what he's like. I mean, when he cuts in on that right foot and he bends it, I mean, it's like an unstoppable. I think you mentioned it, it's like Iron Robin, like
it is.
He just you know what he's going to do, but it's just unstoppable. There's nothing you can do. The technique, his footwork. I mean, again, he's just so vital. And also the mentality to take and score that penalty as well, which, I was a little bit worried about because it kind of seemed to take a long time before it actually, it just builds, doesn't it? Ramps. But again, a couple of goals and a huge impact by the player of the year for the EFL.
Andy Hinchcliffe, I mean, he couldn't hide his hate for Leeds anymore, could he? He literally couldn't. All game was like, Middlesbrough shouldn't have done that, and Leeds have got lucky there. And then he's sick. I hate listening to it. He's almost as bad as Don Goodman. Both bloody hate Leeds. But he said, Championship, he's been doing that to Championship defenders all season, and they still can't stop him doing it. They doubled up on him for the goal, and he still bent it around both of them. And I made the comparison to Iron Robin because Iron Robin was the most predictable winger you probably could have ever seen. He had no right foot at all. He'd cut in on that left foot from the right-hand side and whip it in the opposite corner, and he'd do it constantly to some of the best players in the world, but they couldn't stop him because he was just that good. He was just that good. And Somerville at this level, especially, he's just that good. It doesn't matter what they do. He's going to get one moment where he can whip one of them in. I think about the game against Huddersfield. He had a pretty poor game that game. And he still had that one moment where he whipped the one in and it hit the post. That's fine margins. And tonight, he was the man. I didn't think he had a great game again. The thing is with Somerville, he's doubled and tripled up on now because he's so threatening. Yeah. So a lot of the game, he does look like he's losing the battle, but the defenders are having to work so hard that they're having to do so much to stop him that it's inevitable he's going to lose the ball, but he's still got a fantastic assist for Gnonto's goal. Fans are screaming like he were miles offside. I've got it in the corner of my eye here. Like the defender's coming out and his back foot's pretty much level with Gnonto's back foot. He's probably half a yard offside, right? But there's no VAR. Like we had them decisions before.
That time we had some as well.
Yeah, it is.
Another week, so
the assist was fantastic. It's a fantastic reverse ball. Actually, doesn't help him with the pass into him. Somerville has to kind of readjust and. He turns back around and plays a beautiful ball through to Gnonto. Like you say, he picks the ball up for the penalty. There's nobody else on that pitch that you would want him to take, that you'd want to take that penalty. Nobody. Piro's not on the pitch. I would probably say Piro, you would be confident he'd score the penalty. But that side, Somerville's the only guy that's got it's not the technical ability, it's up here, the confidence. He
believes in himself, doesn't
he?
The
attitude, yeah, I'm the man, I've got my reservations with that at the time. I didn't like it the other week when he took the ball off Piro and he made it about himself. But the facts are is that within a team, especially a team that wants to win things, you need some of them. You absolutely need some of them, because their moments are meant for people like that and players like that. So yeah, mate, what more can you say about him? For me, he's well deserved of Player of the Year. From an attacking point of view, all season he's been there. Whether Rutter's had a bad game, Piro's had a bad game, Bamford, Nonto, James, whoever, Somerville has always been reliable. I think he's the third highest scorer in the division now. It's pretty nuts, really, when you consider where he's playing. So yeah.
Absolutely wild. Yeah, spot on. Another man who had an excellent game, who looks, for me, I'd say pretty much back to his best, Gruev. I thought Gruev was superb, tackling and just creating space and simple passing. And yeah, I thought it was really back to his best. And it's amazing, really, when you look at how long it took for him to actually break in the team. And now he's such a vital cog. He was another one who was missing for a couple of games, and you really felt it when he's not there.
Well, bear in mind, Stroke's been out since the turn of the year. I would argue that Gruev is the most important player in this side. I really would. I know earlier on in the season we'd say Rodon would be the most difficult to replace, but with Stroke out, forget, because if Rodon went out and Stroke was available, it'd be Stroke and Ampadu, right? So you could replace. I'm saying with Stroke being out, Gruev and taking over the responsibility from Ampadu, he's just so key. When he's been missing over this last few games and then not fit, because I don't think he was fitting when he first came back into the side, you could see that he weren't moving properly. He just reads the game so well, and he allows us to play the way that we want to play. He allows the attacking talents that we have within this team to properly come out, because they've got the security. The fullbacks can push on and create overloads. Ampadu can wrap around the side, and it's so understated what he does. I would recommend, certainly at this level, anybody that's interested in the tactical side of football to go and watch a player like Gruev play. Just watch him and just watch what he does and doesn't do out of possession. Watch the positions that he takes up. He's always there. And just a top player. Really like it. I'm not sure whether he's going to translate to the Premier League as much as I love him.
Yeah,
I just don't think he's quick enough for what's going to happen in the Premier League. But at this level, he's a top player. Top player.
No, absolutely, indeed.
I love that role, mate. I love the DM role, the way that Calvin used to play it in the Bielsa time. And he's not on his own. There's been other players that have come before him at Leeds, David Batty or whoever, and in other teams. Like Sergio Busquets is widely kind of thought of as one of the best in that position. It's a fantastic position to watch. If you really love football, you know what I mean? If you really like the way that a tactic is set up, I just love it. I think it just knits the whole team together.
Yeah, there's a great compilation of Pirlo when he dropped deeper, playing that position. It's just I just love it. And like you say with Calvin, when Calvin was in that, I absolutely agree. You can't beat watching a good DM doing what they love. Absolutely. We're still waiting for some comments from Farker coming in. It was funny watching Farker at times because obviously he's normally the coolest man in the stadium.
He was stressed tonight.
You could see that tension there, and why wouldn't you really? I think he's probably realising, well, if he didn't know already, the beast is Legionite. Because I text you, there was a point where Middles were flying into tackles, crowd were up for it, and I was like, oh my, we are just, we know this already, but we really are everybody's cup final in this division, and opposition fans will hate hearing that. I've seen Steve Downs earlier in the comments, and he'll hate hearing that, but it's true. The extra % that these guys have playing us, it's hard work.
When we were in League One, League One is what stands out the most for me with this, because we've been out of the Premier League for a while now. It has kind of simmered down. But when we were in League One, we had by far the best team in that division. And I know the first season we had a minus 15 points and we still ended up getting to the playoffs and whatnot. But that team, the second season we should have ran away with the division. But every week we were playing an FA Cup like giant killing game.
Yeah, right.
That's what it was like. It was like playing an FA Cup giant killing game every single week. Colchester, Hartlepool, these teams were never going to get to play Leeds again. And this was the one opportunity to do it in front of 25,000 that we maybe had at Ellen Road at the time or whatever. It was an absolute nightmare. And this season, we're having a little bit of a flashback to that, because I think that kind of went away with the fact that we'd been in the Championship for 10 years or whatever once we'd got back there. Teams weren't really cooking it as much. But then when Bielsa came in and the attraction started to come around it again, it started to grow back again. And now, because we've got relegated from the Premier League again, it's fully back in its full entirety. I mean, every week, it's literally like that again. It's like a big day. And, Ainsley Pears, he threw one in against Ipswich. He then conceded 5 against Bristol City, came to Ellen Road and a blinder. And then, did you see what he did the other day?
Yeah. I was just, honestly, it's just beyond aggravating.
Where's that when we play him? Like, it's unbelievable. But that's what we have to contend with. It is part of being a Leeds player, Leeds fan. There's nothing else that you can say to it. And Middlesbrough, and again, it's why we should put some respect on the lads' performance tonight, because they had that to contend with. It was bouncing in the Riverside today. The atmosphere were cooking, and they were up for it. And they rose to the challenge, and they dealt with it. They dealt with it really well.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of going forward then to the QPR game on Friday, it's pretty quick turnaround. Any concerns about fatigue, fitness? I mean, or is it just pure adrenaline at this stage of the season? You've got 2 games left. It's just maximum output, isn't it? And you got a few niggles. It doesn't matter, does it? You just play through it and go for it.
We had 9 days before this game.
Yeah.
We'll then have 8 days before the final game. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's 12 hours before 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday, or some 15 hours or whatever, if you want to get super specific. I think it's a good thing. I think get back into it as quickly as possible. Another away game, I think that's probably not a bad thing. Going to Loftus Road is a bit of a concern for me, because it's somewhere that we just never seem to do particularly well. But again, I'm not a great believer in the form or history or anything like that. Like, it just doesn't mean anything. It's another game, innit? And again, if we're going to want to finish top 2 with everything that's riding, we go there and we win that game, mate. I said before kickoff that 7 points I thought would get us promoted. I still think that that's the case. But I think if we win on Friday, I think realistically we can go into the Southampton game really believing we can win that game. And I think Ellen Road will drive it over the line that day. I think it will. I think it'll start, simmer, and then I think within no time at all, the game will become a bit of a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I know I'm getting ahead of myself with that, but Friday it's just massive. At this stage of the season, mate, all that matters is getting the result over the line. The performance was better today. From an attacking point of view, defensively, it weren't as good as what we've seen for the rest of the year, but ultimately, nobody cares. We got the 3 points. Leicester at the weekend were terrible, I thought they were so poor. I mean, they missed a pet.
I mean, I didn't watch the game, but I saw the highlights, and I'm watching them West Brom chances. I'm just like, what?
You can say sometimes when you're watching a game that, we created loads of chances, but the keeper made maybe 5 or 6 good saves, but saves that he should make, right? That wasn't the case in the Leicester game. West Brom missed 4, I would say, tap-ins, sitters, proper sitters. At the bar, Hamza Chowdhury cleared 2 off the line. It was unbelievable. I mean, Leicester didn't even deserve a point. But again, all that matters is that they got the 3 over the line. I think they lose tomorrow, by the way. And I've seen that. I can't really get into. I can't get my head around this idea that we want Leicester to win. You might have a different opinion on it. I don't know, because we haven't spoken about it.
No, I'm with you on this. I don't get that.
I don't get it. Southampton are 6 points behind us now, right? If they win tomorrow, they'll be 3 points behind us, and we've got a superior goal difference. So their gap to us now, because they lost at the weekend, just doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter, because if we beat QPR, which we need to do to finish in the top 2 anyway, Southampton can't, even if they beat us in the last game of the season, they still can't pass us. Yeah. So it just, the mindset boggles me, because the only thing that matters to us from a perspective of getting automatic promotion is the top 2 spots. Why would we want to isolate ourselves to just second?
No.
I don't care about winning the title. I care about getting promoted. It's just such a bizarre mindset. So I think they lose tomorrow. I think Southampton win. And I think we go into these next 2 games with, us separated by next to nothing. It's going to be next to nothing. Yeah. If we can put ourselves 4 points ahead of Ipswich going into their 2 games, I think it's... I don't want to talk too soon, but I think it's done. I think we could actually go into that last game of the season, mate, promoted. If Ipswich lose on... if Ipswich lose on Saturday, if we've won on Friday, like this is, if Ipswich lose on Saturday, they have to then get maximum points.
Yeah.
Because there'd be 4 points behind us with 2 games to play, right?
Yeah.
So if they were to then draw against Coventry or the other, whichever way around it is, we'd be promoted. We'd be going into the last game because of the goal difference. We'd be promoted. So it's that key now. Friday's massive. We win Friday, we're up. In my opinion, we win Friday, we're promoted.
I do. I mean, I think tonight is seismic. I really do. Because for me, the whole feeling around it, and I was just like, I don't see it. Not that I don't see how we win it, but just the way we've been playing, the way it's gone. I just thought, can we break this kind of almost like this hoodoo that's over us at this stage? And we've won. I even think, and this is unusual for me, I even think watching that tonight and the fact that we can still perform to those levels we need in the players we've got, even if it's playoffs, we should be absolute, favourites.
We should be. I mean, it's 3 games. It's a lottery at that stage. Lots can happen in them 3 games. We saw that against Derby and the last time we were in the playoffs. But for me, like, I think you're absolutely right. I think we have to try and isolate the games from the form that we've just had. Yeah. Because it's easy to be like, oh, we're never going to win a game again. I mean, I saw some fans saying, oh, I can't see that we're ever going to score again, like after 2 blanks against Sunderland and Blackburn. Like, come on, like, get a grip. This is a top team. We won 9 on the bounce only a couple of months ago. The team don't just all of a sudden stop winning games. And, Leicester and Ipswich have had serious form problems as well. So, I don't understand this massive clamour for the despair. Understand the panic and the nervousness around it and whatnot. But you've seen tonight, like, that's a top team. Middlesbrough, if they hadn't had that terrible start, they were the top form in the country. Yeah. Undefeated in 9, 5 wins out of 9, 5 wins, 4 draws. They would be serious contenders if they hadn't had that terrible start to the season. They'd be right up there in the top 6. So for me, I don't understand this clamour for absolute despair because of 2 dodgy results. Sure, they were at home. Sure, they were against not great teams, but that's football, isn't it?
Yeah. I know. And this is the thing, isn't it, with Leeds fans as well? It's like an inbuilt kind of, we've been here and we've failed at the final hurdle so many times. It's going to happen again, but it really is a different situation now, isn't it? It's not Bielsa taking a bunch of average championship players and pushing them to the limits. It's players, Somerville, Rutter, Nont. These guys are good enough. They absolutely are good enough. Should we have a little look at the league table then? So this is where we're at. I mean, it's just, it's pretty crazy stuff, isn't it? So Leicester, they're a point above us. They've got a game in hand, but that game in hand is against 4th place Southampton, who are going to be absolutely reeling. I mean, I wonder what the reaction was in Southampton to losing against Cardiff. I mean, they must be absolutely kicking themselves to say that they'd hauled themselves back.
The only saving grace to the Southampton situation that I see is the fact that they've got to play us in the last game of the season. So right now, Southampton are going to be like, we've got one more chance. Yeah. And that's the Leicester game. If Southampton will believe, I think, if they can win all 3 games that they've got, they'll get one of the top 2 spots. Yeah. In their heads right now, Ipswich have got 2 tough games against Hull and Coventry. They will fully believe, I think, that if they take maximum points, they can still nick one of them top 2 spots. I know this is mental, but part of me wanted them to win at the weekend because I want them to have the maximum desire to beat Leicester. Yeah. And obviously, I understand the benefits around them not winning, but given the situation that we find ourselves in now, our threat is not Southampton, it's Ipswich and Leicester for the top 2 spots. I don't care if we finish 4th. if I'm honest. Like, if we finish third or fourth, makes no difference to me. So I just want that top two situation to be as beneficial for us as possible. There's no other result than a Southampton win tomorrow that makes sense to Leeds fans. I don't even want Leicester to get a point, so fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. Leicester, I just think Leicester will have too much, and I think they'll get over the line regardless because they've got Preston away and Blackburn at home, the last two, and they're both dire. They're both pretty dire. So Preston have really dropped off a cliff recently. So
yeah, exactly. We've got Ipswich as well. It'd be fascinating. We were having a chat with Rich one from Talking Town the other week. It'd be fascinating to see what they're thinking about this Leeds result tonight. Because I mean, if how many times have we been there watching Ipswich, and they've done exactly what Leeds have done tonight. But I mean, it's a tough old time for Ipswich as well coming up. I mean, Hull at 8 o'clock on Saturday, which is wild. So that's not going to be easy. Coventry then obviously on the Tuesday. Be interested to see kind of what frame of mind Coventry are in post what happened this.
They're a good side, They're a good side.
Yeah,
I had you right. I mean, when he first came over, because he was their like kind of direct replacement for Gyökeres, I thought he looked a little bit stiff and a little bit cumbersome. He weren't really starting games and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's a real player. He's got some serious ability. I think both him and Ellis Sims could play in the Premier League. No bother towards probably towards the bottom end. But yeah, they're a serious team. I really like them. I mean, look, if Ipswich come out of that with anything more than 3 points out of the two games, I think they've done well. I think they've done really, really well. And that would set them up then to be able to seal their situation at home. I mean, if they came out of it with 4 points, what would that do? That would then put us going into the last game of the season all square, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We'd be in front on goal difference.
And they've got
Town, haven't they?
They've got Town at home, isn't it, as well? That last game of the season. So I mean,
it'd leave us needing us to beat Southampton, pretty much, wouldn't it? To be truthful. Look, like one step at a time. I don't see Ipswich taking any more than 3 points out of them games. I think they lose one and win or draw the other. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Pressure's going to seriously start to, especially if we win on Friday night. If they're going into that game on Saturday at 8 o'clock, knowing that they're 4 points behind, pressure's totally different. It's a totally different kettle of fish, especially away from home. So just need that Leeds win, mate. Need that Leeds win on Friday, and I think it'll be enough. I really do. I think it'll be enough.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Leeds, please. Getting some comments from Daniel Farke. I don't think we've got actual quotes yet, but some updates from him. So Rodon, he's feeling his calf, but it's going to be okay. Apparently James, though, core muscle not looking good at this stage. So Dan James
looked really sore, didn't it? At the end.
He might be out for the QPR game. Shame, because he's a brilliant option, isn't he, off the bench? But we're waiting for some little few more comments to come in. But just in terms of Daniel Farke, where's his head at with this now, Jason? I mean, if you're going in, your team is fighting it out for this. I mean, what's the message for the remaining two games, you think? Is it carry on doing what you're doing? You're good enough, do it? Or is it, a rallying cry? Or
I think Daniel Farke summed it up the other day. Like, and I know it's a little bit cliche and cheesy, but he said something along the lines of, "I invite you to believe." Like, and I get it, because it's so much more fun to believe. These players, everything that they're saying, and most of what they're doing is looking like they're actually enjoying themselves, and they're trying to express themselves as much as possible. Most of the pressure, most of the stress that they have to kind of deal with comes from us. I genuinely believe it comes from us. And the over the top reactions that we've had, considering what we've had. I mean, bring that league table back up again, just for a second. Look at the levels of wins that them 4 teams, including Southampton, have got. It's unbelievable. We've lost 8 games this season out of 44 after losing. How many games did we lose last season?
Oh, God.
20 something.
About 37, didn't it? Shocking.
Yeah, it felt like all of them, didn't it? So, it's a serious job. Most seasons, with 3 games to go, 2 games to go now, we'd be promoted. We'd be done. We're on 90 points. 90. we've got more points now, I think, than what we finished with when we won the league. No, what did we finish on that season?
Yeah, let's have a look.
We're at 93, maybe. Actually, I can't remember. Let me have a look. Championship.
Let's have a look at this. I looked at the wrong one. 93. Yeah, 93.
So we're 3 points off what we won the division, and we were comfortably top of the division, right?
Yeah, the last two games were like.
So yeah, but Browney, West Brom finished second on 83.
Yeah.
Finished. Fourth place have 84.
Yeah.
All 4 of us would be up automatic in the season that Bielsa took us to the title. All 4 of us. Like, if you can't get on board with that, this has been a good season, regardless of what happens over this next 2 games, then I can't help you. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus, it's unprecedented levels. Is that? It's unbelievable. Especially what the top 3 have done.
No.
Yeah,
I'm just relieved that we've won, obviously, but that we've put to bed this little mini run that we've gone on, because I think it would have been so demoralizing if we'd have gone into the playoffs and just slumped to, if we'd have not won any of the remaining games, given up, the automatic place. I think that would have been a really awful thing to happen, and for it to peter out that way. But I'm just so pleased that we've rallied. We've been put to the sword tonight, and we've done it. We've come through it, and we've got the 3 points, and it changes how your perception of it now, doesn't it? Because like you're saying, if we win on Friday, Ipswich are looking at that going, wow, we're 4 points behind somehow we're 4 points behind. We've got tough games coming up, and somehow Leeds are back in the driving seat somehow. But like you say, it'd be lovely if Leicester could drop points again tomorrow.
Absolutely. I mean, I 100% believe, like, if we win all the games between now and the end of the season, and so do Ipswich, and they go up as an expense to us, I think there's huge value in the fact that we finished the season winning all 3 because of the run into the playoffs. I 100%, and I think that's what the vibe that you're kind of going with there is 100% believe and agree with that. You do not want to go into the playoffs on the back of losing 4 in a row or no wins in 4 or whatever. We did that against Derby, if you remember the form going into the playoffs. And we played Derby off the pitch that day. And I truly believe if Cooper just kicks the ball out of play for a throw-in at 2-0 instead of clattering into Casillas, we're going to win that game comfortably. I mean, we were so much better than them. But anyway, memory lane and all that. I think the playoff final would have been an unbelievable spectacle against Villa. What a game that had been. But, it weren't to be. But yeah, 100% taking form into the playoffs is massive. And I mean, if we go into the playoffs after finishing on 96 points, that'd be what it would be. 96. Yeah. I mean,
it's obscene.
I almost want to pull a Dave Foy and swear, but that'd be nuts, mate. It'd be nuts.
Well, I was just looking then, just curious when you mentioned that about that form we had going in the 2018-19 championship where we lost to Derby, and it was a terrible run of form. It was like lost to Ipswich, like lost to Wigan. I mean,
Ipswich got relegated that season as well, by the way. Ipswich were terrible, and they ended up that was their last game of the season. They ended up going down after us losing to Wigan. We then went and lost to Brentford.
Yeah, lost to Brentford. We drew to Villa. Obviously,
which didn't mean anything by that point.
Didn't mean anything, no. Yeah. And then lost to Ipswich.
And then lost to Ipswich in the last game.
Yeah. And then beat Derby in the first leg. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, it's just great to see us get back on the horse and winning the game again, because, my fear was it was just going to peter out and it was going to be somewhat similar, actually, to 2018-19, but thankfully it's not.
Do you think we do it, Brownie? What's your gut telling you?
Do you know what? I'm as bad as the supercomputers you hear about, and they literally it just changes every week.
Yeah.
So the result, in accordance with the results. I'm literally like that, because before tonight I was like just feeling a bit like, I don't think we're going to do this. But after tonight, I just think, we're gonna do it.
I think we're gonna do it. I think we're gonna do it. I think we win on Friday, and I just think that Ipswich. I just have this sneaky feeling that they're not going to win either of the 2 games. They might even get 2 points out of it, which would still take it to the last day with us needing a win to guarantee, I think. But Is that right? Because they'd be 2 points behind, wouldn't they? So a point would be enough. A point would be enough for us then. Let me see what the bookies are saying after tonight.
Well,
I always think the bookies are.
Well, the thing is with Ipswich as well. I mean, they could be that team that has that form. That Leeds had that form in 2019. You know, where they just kind of tail off and because I think with Ipswich, a lot of it is based around kind of inspiration, these big vibe moments, and you know, how long can you keep producing that? You know, how long can you keep producing that?
I think them having 2 away games is massive. These 2 away games against 2 really decent sides, I think are real tricky, real tricky for them. I mean, bookies are making Leicester like complete favourites now for the title, which I think's a little bit premature, but I think it's probably because of Preston and Blackburn. The 2 games that they've got to finish are pretty easy games. But they now make Leeds second favourites to go Portmatic, but not much between us and Ipswich.
We're second favourites now with the bookies.
Yeah, Leeds are second favourites with the bookies. I mean, the bookies are wrong all the time, but they also play the odds. And points on the board, even though we're only 1 point in front of Ipswich, that 1 point makes a massive difference as it currently stands because they've not won that game that they've got to play yet. And I think the odds will shorten even more if we win on Friday. Well, they definitely will. They'll be next to. I can't wait for tomorrow's game. If I'm honest, I cannot wait.
It's kind of nice. It's nice to know that we've won. We took care of business, and we can just kind of let the pressure and the spotlight go back on Leicester and Southampton, particularly Leicester. It's going to be a belter. Is that?
It's going to be juicy, mate. It's going to be
good. So before we wrap up, then, Jason, any kind of final thoughts before we depart?
It's just
you're confident we're going to do it, aren't you? You believe we're going to do it, don't you?
I just think I think that we've got enough in the tank to get it over the line. Yeah, I think we saw that tonight. You know, again, and I've defended this till I've been blue in the face this season. And I'm sick of hearing it like, "Oh, this team choke it when the pressure gets tough." When does that actually apply? Because all I remember is that in the key moments when we've really needed to show us steel, we've done it. We lost 2 games over Christmas. It looked like it was done. We then went on that unbelievable run of 9 straight wins. You know, we had the game against Millwall when we needed to win by 2 to go top, and we did. You know, we got that second goal. You know, sure, we dropped 5 points over them 2 home games that technically we should have won, but as home record had been so exemplary all season, if we'd have taken 1 loss out of all of them 21 games that we've had so far in the division, nobody had batted an eyelid at it. So just because it came in that moment in a freak one-off game when we should have we dominated the whole game. You know, 1 long ball and 1 moment, like it is what it is. Like the fact that we then just freak out so much just seems so out of kilt with reality to me. And, you know, we showed it again tonight. Like, we'll go 1-0 down, but no, this team comes back. We were 2-1 up within 15 minutes, Browney. That's not a team that bottle it. You know, we then went on. Things should have been uncomfortable second half. We made it really, really easy. And sure, we then conceded in the 86th minute, 1 lump ball. But did the team fold? No. They stuck at it and they managed to get it over the line. So I don't see a team of bottlers. I see a young, inexperienced, naive team that make mistakes, that are struggling at times to deal with the pressure. But most of the time, I would say 9 times out of 10 this season, when they've been asked to answer the question, they've done it. So I think we go on Friday and we win the game. Southampton will be if we need to win that day because Ipswich have taken enough points or whatever, I think that's a different level of pressure. That's a different level of cooking. Because Ellen Road will be, it could very quickly be unbelievable and the players could be bouncing off the walls and flying all at it. But if it goes south, it could be tricky that day. But let's get there first. I truly believe if you had to kind of push me for a start, I think it'll be done before then. I think we win Friday. I think Ipswich probably take a point at the weekend, lose the other away game. We go into that last game of the season promoted. It won't say the P.
You've convinced me. Come on.
It won't say the P because of goal difference, but we will have enough goal difference to cover it.
I get you.
To be done.
Although they could beat Huddersfield by a big score, don't forget. So
wouldn't surprise you if Huddersfield
really
just throw some in, would it?
Oh my God, yeah, 15-0. Like, why?
Mate, I mean, not to speak too much on Huddersfield in a Leeds review, but I mean, I don't know if you've seen any of the fallout from the other day, but my word, were they bad. The defending, I mean, you want to go talk about bad defending. Oh my word, their defending was horrendous the other day. And talk about a fan reaction. I mean, they've been seriously volatile towards not so much Nagel himself, but the guys that he's got working under him, Dave Carmichael and the other guy, I forget his name. I've seen a lot towards them, and I think Brian Wright gets away with most of it, which is probably fair. But yeah, they're a mess. They're an absolute mess. I think they're done, if I'm honest, especially with Sheffield Wednesday winning yesterday.
I mean, it was an almighty collapse. I mean, I wasn't watching the games, but I was looking at the scoreline at 0-0, and then blink of an eye, with 4-0. They were losing. And I do recommend, by the way, fascinating chat downs they had on the channel with Callum and Zach a couple of days ago. Their reaction to the game, fascinating debate. Talk about all sorts, so do catch that. Got lots coming up on the channel as well. So tomorrow we've got a Halifax Town special with Shaman Stats himself, Dave Foy, and a couple of special guests on that. So I think that's going to be around about 7:30, 8 o'clock. So do keep a lookout on that because they're in action. Playoffs against Solihull Moors, rescheduled opponent and all that. So yeah, should be a bell to that. So do tune in for that. Plus catch up with the West Yorkshire Roundup that the guys did earlier today. Myself and Jason will have to keep an eye on that. See if there was any, Leeds slagging off. I'm sure
Leeds digs.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there were. Myself and Jason, we will be back at some point to review the QPR game. Not on the night, unfortunately.
Oh, Brown is letting us down, guys.
I'm letting the side down. Yeah, I was nearly worried I was going to miss that Southampton game, so I can't say anything. But we will get to it.
Saturday afternoon, I can do.
Yes, yeah, we will get to it and make sure we get something out for that one. And it's just strap yourselves in. The main thing is we're in it. We've won a game and we're still there and we're still alive, Jason.
90 points, mate. 90 points with 2 games to go. It's not bad going, really, is it? So yeah, strap in, guys. Support the boys. Get right behind them. Send all the good vibes. Do anything that you can do for luck. Like my dog's called Marcy after Marcelo Bielsa, like genuinely, and she sat next to me all night tonight watching the game, and I'm just whenever I felt like I needed luck, I'm just frantically stroking my dog. I'm a bit superstitious like that, so yeah, anything you can do, just do it.
Yeah, everything. It's got to help. Anything we can do at all, please. Good stuff. If you've enjoyed the video, please do like it, subscribe to the channel as well for more content on Leeds United and all our clubs across West Yorkshire as well. We will be back later in the week for another chapter of the adventures of Leeds United trying to get promoted. Can't wait for it. I've been Stephen Brown. With me has been Jason Booker. Jason, thank you very much.
Thank you, mate.
And we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.